We were supposed to have a race this weekend, but yeah, so that didn't happen. So instead, what I'm gonna do is we're gonna go through some news. So some of the best news that we've had for for a while is the 2023 F1 calendar. The official calendar has finally been announced, and it is a record-breaking 24 races. So we're finally going to get China back on the circuits. It's been off for about 3 years now because of COVID, and hopefully they don't abandon next year's race. But yeah, time will tell. We're also going to see the likes of Miami and a new race in Qatar, as well as Las Vegas, which will be the penultimate race at the end of the year. Um, the drivers already complain that, well, in the past they've complained that the season is quite long at about 20 races. So this being, 24 races is just, it's unbelievable. It's great for us as the fans. But yeah, the drivers, I don't think they're too happy about this. But yeah, it's very good news for us. So obviously this weekend's race was cancelled, being the Russian Grand Prix, for reasons that we all know about, unfortunately. So the next race will be in Singapore next weekend. So we got a bit of a wait between races since Monza 2 weeks back. So yeah, on the 30th of September, it starts practice 1, 2 on the Friday, practice 3 qualifying, and then the race on Sunday as usual. There's no sprint, unfortunately, this weekend, but that's fine. Racing is racing. So, on to the news. So we've got a drivers market shuffle. Um, Unfortunately, Latifi is leaving us at the end of this year. I'm sorry to break this to you, but I know a lot of you are very, very big fans of Latifi. Being a driver that doesn't crash, he's always at the front of the grid. And no, I'm just joking. Yeah. So he's taken it in his stride. He's thanked the team. He's taken it positively. But yeah, he's no longer going to be on the grid. Um, I can't say I'm too surprised. Yeah. So thanks, Latifi, for everything you've done. And yeah, it was good having you. It was quite entertaining, to be fair. He did make a few of the races quite spicy. Um, then Nyck de Vries. Nobody knows where he's going to end up, but he definitely deserves a seat after the last race in Monza, where he filled in for Alex Albon. He did extremely well. Um, and yeah, he deserves a seat. So there's a lot of teams actually looking at signing him. Um, he is obviously part of I think he's part of the Mercedes driver program, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so the options for him is Williams to replace Latifi, and I think he would be Albon's teammate then. If I don't know if Albon's moving on, if he's going up to another team. But yeah, he'll be in Williams hopefully, or Alpine to replace Alonso, which would be an even better bet for him, or AlphaTauri, to partner Tsunoda, who has been confirmed for next year. So he will remain on the grid next year. So there was a big question mark on whether Tsunoda would be on the grid. I can confirm that he will be. So yeah, that's that. Then Vettel, as we all know, he's leaving us next at the end of the season. It's been amazing to have him on the grid since I think it was 2006 when he joined BMW Sauber. Moved on to it was a Toro Rosso, the old AlphaTauri, where he won a race in Italy. It was their first race actually, and then he moved on to Red Bull, and we all know what happened in Red Bull. He won 4 drivers' championships in a row, took a number of wins. Most of his 53 career wins were with Red Bull during those 4 years. So yeah, sad that he's leaving, but he's hinted that he might get bored. So it would be good to see him back on the grid, maybe in 2024. Who knows? I wouldn't put money against it. Alonso's done it, Raikkonen did it, Michael Schumacher did it. Probably a few more that I can't remember did it, but Vettel, always welcome back. So yeah. Speaking of Alex Albon, we mentioned him last in the last F1 video that he had complications in his surgery for appendicitis. One of the reasons why Nyck de Vries filled in for him at the Monza Grand Prix. He is recovering and he's hopefully going to be on the grid at Singapore. If he's not, then I believe Nyck de Vries will fill in for him again, which won't be a bad thing for Nyck de Vries, but I think he's done enough already to hopefully land a seat for the 2023 season. So wishing Albon well, and yeah, hopefully he's back for Singapore. Then the next news will be perhaps not such popular news, but the FIA is sort of making it really difficult for Colton Herta to gain his super license for him to actually join the Formula One grid in 2023. So AlphaTauri is actually trying to get him on board, but because the FIA don't see IndyCar as sort of a super license formula, he doesn't have the required amount of super license points to be an F1 driver. So they're trying to get around that, but the FIA is standing their ground, and I suppose I don't want to create some sort of precedent where if they do it for him, then they're going to have to do it for a whole bunch of other new up-and-coming drivers. So I can kind of see where the FIA is coming from. He would need to, I mean, I've heard great things about him, but he would need to gain his super license points somewhere else before he can join the Formula One grid. Hopefully he can do that sooner rather than later. Maybe we'll see him in 2024. Then another IndyCar driver, Alex Palou, he tested for McLaren and it went well. So there's another driver that could jump over from IndyCar to Formula One pending super license points and all that stuff. So yeah, let's watch the space. Then Fernando Alonso. So there's been talk that he's going to make the Aston Martin team's lives very difficult for all the right reasons. Maybe a few wrong reasons, but what he tends to do, and what they mean by this, is that he pushes the teams, the engineers, everything really hard, and tries to get the best and the most out of them. Now, he did this really well at Renault when he was there, and he won his 2 championships with Renault, and he didn't do it so well, or I suppose you could say it backfired at Ferrari. Now, I'm not sure if that was a culture clash or whatnot, but at the end of the day, he left Ferrari without another title, without his 3rd title, and then he moved on to McLaren, who was a McLaren Honda. You know, when Honda came back in, he saw it as a really nice project, a big project. He obviously gave that team hell, pushing them hard, getting as much performance as he can out of them. It didn't work, at least while he was there. The Honda engine wasn't great. He at one point actually called it a Formula 2 engine, or GP2 engine. So it didn't work there. But let's hope that it works at Aston Martin, because it'll be great to see him fighting at the front, at least for the top 5 places. Well, actually, he's doing that now. So at least, it would be nice to see him at least on the podium a few times in 2023. And obviously, Aston Martin, they, like all the teams, I suppose, they are aiming for the front, but I think they have potentially a recipe for success, especially with Fernando Alonso joining their cause. So, I mean, the guy's over 40 years old, but he's still probably top 3 on the grid in terms of pure pace. So, yeah, they've got a driver and a half with Fernando. So, yeah, there's no one else better, in my opinion, to replace Sebastian Vettel at Aston Martin. So they've done the perfect signing with him. I bet it didn't cost I bet it cost a lot. So, but I think they'll get their money's worth. And then finally, Red Bull is concerned about the 2026 engine formula and getting ready for the season. The engine formula change in 2026. So, new engine formula, basically it'll be the same V6 format. However, it's going to be a 100% biodegradable fuels. And there'll be a more electric generation from the engines. Sort of Formula One moving over into more sustainable technologies, sort of trying to help them push them forward, as they always do with the motor technology. And yeah, I think Red Bull is probably not the only team that's concerned, but they're certainly the ones that are speaking up about it. Obviously, they took over from Honda when Honda pulled out. Honda still, advises them and sort of helps them from the back end. But yeah, Honda, now Red Bull powertrains since the beginning of, I think it was this year. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully it doesn't end up being a case where we had in 2014, where we changed into the turbo hybrid era and one team just dominated, that being Mercedes, for how many years was it? 5 years. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully it brings them more close together, but that's less likely in reality. So yeah, let's watch this space. And yeah, I think this video is getting quite long, so I'm gonna cut it off there. But just one more thing I want to look at is where the performance swung between Red Bull and Ferrari in 2022. So yeah, as you can see, Ferrari was quicker, very closely matched. Red Bull edged it in Miami, in Spain. Ferrari was faster, and it kind of shows that, I mean, there was one race here where it's definitely Red Bull faster, comprehensively. At least in this list. It's a bit of a short list compared to the amount of races we've had this season already. But it kind of just highlights the fact that Ferrari's strategy, or lack thereof, has sort of been the reason for them effectively being over 100 points behind between Max and Leclerc, with so many races to go. So anyway, that's just sort of something I wanted to point out. But yeah, if you like the video, please hit that like button, comment below on your thoughts on the season so far, and what you think of the driver market at the moment, and who you would like to see in which seats. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button, and I will see you on the next one.